Welcome to Whose Turn Is It Anyway, your board gaming podcast where we talk about games and occasionally we speak to game designers. Today is an expansion pack episode where we speak to Jack Neville from Splitstone Games to talk all about his upcoming game, Mycelia. In this episode, I'm joined by Kerley and we're going to jump over and meet Jack. See you in a bit. So we're here and joined with Kerley from the podcast team, and more importantly, not as in Kerley's not important because he's absolutely important, but more importantly, sorry Kerley, we've got Jack Neville from Splitstone Games. Welcome to the show, Jack.
Hello.
It's great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I was going to say pleasure to be here, but after that diss, I think...
Well, me and Kerley have got a nice relationship, haven't we, mate, where I think we just take the mick out of each other quite a lot, especially when we're gaming. I mean, Jack's had the pleasure of this. Jack's had the pleasure of witnessing me and Kerley gaming because we all had a game of his new game, which we'll talk about very soon. And I'll maybe leave that for the later part of the episode. But yeah, welcome to the show, Jack. It's been really good to have you on. And it was really great to meet you at the UK Games Expo this year, which feels like a distant memory. It honestly feels like last year already. Even though, what is it, 3 months? Was it 3 months ago?
Yeah, June, wasn't it? Yeah.
Christ, yeah. Doesn't the year fly by? And kind of what we like to do with all of our guests is we like to ask you a few questions and learn about Jack the Gamer. And the first one we always ask is, what's your favourite game of all time? What's the one that rises to the top and stays at the top?
I would say Inish. Well, first because the artwork is just rad with all the psychedelic druids and it's great. And I think it's one of those games. I don't think I've ever played a board game where it's made my heart beat fast when you think you're going to win. You're like, oh god, I'm so excited! Don't let anyone else know. And the epic tail cards. I just love them. They're just so great.
They're like bonkers, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm just so excited to get one. But so yeah, I'd say Inish is probably my top one.
Nice. Yeah, that's we've had a few plays of Inish, and like Dudes on a Map games for me aren't like my strongest, like in terms of what I enjoy, but I did enjoy the kind of unique drafting in that game and just getting the right cards in the hand at the right time to sequence what you need to do. But yeah, that whole tension is there, isn't it? Right from the off. I want to move people in there. No, you do this. And then I can't remember half the cards, but there's that one that puts like a festival or something, and then you can't fight.
Yeah. Or the guy's card, which just like poo-poos your last card play, which is always very annoying, but good.
Lots of swearing.
Yeah, so much swearing.
No, good choice.
Is area control one of your favourite game types then, Jack, out of interest? Because there are elements of that in Mycelia, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily. I don't really have a specific kind of type of game that I kind of gravitate towards. It's just, there's elements which I like within it, but area control, I mean, nothing about area control, I just think about Risk, which I do like a bit, but it gets very long-winded. And, in fact, there is have you played Rising Sun?
No, I haven't actually.
That's really good. Is it called Rising Sun?
Yeah, it's the evolution of Blood Rage, isn't it? It's the kind of... It's the second one in the trilogy.
Blood Rage, I think I prefer it as Blood Rage, but... Rising Sun's a good area control game, but I wouldn't put myself into a hole and say I like this type of game because I like it more really.
Yeah, no, nice. So, what games have you been kind of playing recently that you're enjoying that you want to share with us?
Well, it turns out making a board game means you have no time to play board games, which is good.
Yeah.
But one I've been playing recently is Furnace, which I actually bought at UKG. Yeah, I think I was just taken by the front cover, just the man on the top hat. And it's like, oh, industry, yes.
Yeah, 1800s,
Yes.
Industrial Revolution. Yeah.
So I don't actually know much about the game at all. But after playing it, I really like it. And it's quite a quick one. Me and my partner have been playing it, so it works well with 2 players. So
Yeah.
That's the one I've been playing most, and still, Mycelia, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
But yeah, honestly, I haven't played many board games recently,
Really?
which is terrible.
No, it's not terrible. But you've been busy. You've been busy creating one for us people like us to enjoy. But no, go back to Furnace. Furnace was a game that really surprised me. I played it at GridCon last year, which is Paul Grogan's gaming rules convention, based in the Southwest, which is literally on our doorstep. And yeah, it completely surprised me. It's got that really crunchy gameplay, as you say, it plays so rapidly quick, and you're like, oh, it's done. But I feel like my brain has gone through, a 2-hour midweight Euro game. That's
it's a workout, isn't it? On your working memory. But
Have you played it, Kerley? Have you played Furnace yet?
I haven't actually. I was just having a look while you guys were talking about it. It does look interesting for what looks to be a primarily engine builder type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks really interesting actually, and the quick play time. I don't know why, but it always appeals to me. I always think like Scythe is always going to go on longer than it actually does, but it's actually another really quick game that feels like it's longer, if that makes sense.
I know, we always play Scythe, and then it always surprises us that we can get it done in 2 hours, and we're like, oh, and that's like with 6-7 players, we can just get it down. It's really weird.
In fact, I just did actually play a board game yesterday. With my partner, and it was 7 Wonders Duel, which we play a lot, and I always lose. I just can't. I always try to win by science, and I don't know why I do it, because you're never going to do
it. Not alone, no. But
me and Becky like 7 Wonders Duel. It's really good.
Yeah, I've only played it once with my brother, and I think I was in a similar camp. I did awful, which is quite common because I don't do great at the 7 Wonders generally. So maybe
we've got to get another full version in soon, actually.
We do. It was a while since we played, didn't we? We played 7 Wonders with leaders and cities. And we kind of did 3 games in one night, didn't we, with the expansions added in. That was good fun, that. We should definitely do that. We should do that again. Anyway, enough about us planning our gaming events. How did you get into the hobby then, Jack? Like, what was your kind of first experience into tabletop gaming?
Well, I think classic, when I was a kid, played Scrabble, Monopoly and stuff. But I think my gateway drug was probably Catan. Well, in fact, maybe even Small World. It was just one of my housemates at the time said, "Oh, I'm into board games. Let's play it." And we started to play those 2 quite a lot, and it kind of just snowballed from there. And I love it. It's nice. Just what I really enjoy is that you spend time with your friends, and you kind of you don't. I'm not sure with your group of friends, but a lot of time if we go out, it's always to like the pub, and you always like kind of like I should probably drink. And sometimes like if you play board game with friends, it's like it's nice just to chill out in a sober environment, which is good, and also just not be looking at a screen, which is I think one of the things I really enjoy about it.
That for me is one of the biggest things. I spend over 8 hours, probably even more, just sat at a laptop working. I was going to say sat on my bum, but then I pick a hobby where I'm sat on my bum. So. It's just the medium's different. It's just with real life people and cardboard bits that I move around. But it is that interaction, isn't it? It is, yeah. We was actually talking to another guest. We kind of likened it to the old days of playing couch co-op on like the Super Nintendo, like Bomberman or whatever, and it kind of gives you that same feeling of having your mates around the table playing a game, laughing because obviously it's someone's misfortune usually, and just having a great time. But
sure. I mean, my fondest memories of being a kid is playing Mario Kart with my brothers or friends. Just N64, 4 players.
Yeah,
can't get better.
No, good times.
Well, I'm definitely the right age for that one.
Yeah.
Mario Kart was my early teens, I think. Done.
Yeah. Was that the SNES version, no Kerley, or was it the N64? The SNES,
Yes.
the original.
No, all of it.
All
Literally,
of it.
that's what I mean. Yes is the answer to all of it. I was really spoiled growing up, so we had versions of everything. But probably my favourite, if you go back to it, oh god, I don't know, probably the SNES version, just because that's when we really got into it. But the N64 version was awesome, mate. It really was.
Yeah,
so we played the hell out of that one as well.
It had 3D. You could go up levels.
I know. It was just, they were both epic. They've kept a really good standard with those type of games.
Yeah. I always enjoy a bit of Mario Kart. Even now, play that with the kids. And
definitely.
Just when they introduced the blue shell, though, annoyed me. But that's fine. that's for a different podcast altogether.
It's because you're too good, mate. That's what it is. You're always
at front.
Exactly.
Well, any Mario Kart player knows you shouldn't hang out in first place. You shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
You wait. You ride the coattails about third place, get slightly better weapons, and off you go.
That's his excuse for being in third.
yeah, and then end up in third. Damn.
Yeah. It's biding my time, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah, the race was over 10 minutes ago, JP. But yeah, well done. Thank you for that, Jack. Let's move on into the kind of main segment.
Sure.
So you've got a game.
I have, yeah.
You've talked about developing a game, Mycelia. So what is Mycelia? What is it all about?
Mycelia is a... I've forgotten how to describe my game.
Yeah, I've forgotten how to pitch my own game. That's all right.
At UKG, I was like doing like every 2 minutes.
You're out of practice
forgot how
now.
to say it,
Don't worry, I'll cut this bit out. Don't panic.
I keep it in. So it is a game all about the life cycle of fungi. And so you grow mushrooms to score points, and then you spore those mushrooms to expand your mycelial network, and eventually see them decay to unlock special actions. And so it's a game that kind of really ebbs and flows and changes quite a lot, because spores are kind of added to the board, mushrooms are growing and decaying. So it's quite a tactical game, and it's all on a board that's made out of triangle tiles. So even the board is different every time you play, and you can add to the board as an action. So it kind of slowly expands in different and wonderful ways, depending on how many people are playing. Yeah.
There we go. So why the theme? Like, why mushrooms?
I guess a while ago I was I've always like going for walks in the countryside and stuff. And in fact, it was actually my brother-in-law who started to kind of forage mushrooms, and we were like, I think it was like a summer, and he was like, let's just go for a walk, and then he was just pointing mushrooms out to me. I was like, oh, this is so exciting! It's like finding little Easter eggs. And he'd be like, oh, this one you can eat, and then like this one could kill you if we
don't eat that one.
Yeah. And he didn't know what he was doing, but
it sounded convincing.
Yeah. Just the more I kind of learn about it, and kind of going on more and more walks and spotting them, and then it's kind of just got really interested in them and started to read books. And there's a really good book called Entangled Life by a guy called Merlin Sheldrake, which is really interesting, really well written. And so I kind of just got fascinated by them. And there's a few documentaries and stuff. So they're very interesting. And not very well known about either, because they're all, I think what's quite, why people are fascinated by them is that most of it is underneath the earth, and like the little mushrooms just pop up and then they kind of disappear again. But it's all happening underneath the earth, which is, it's like a little mystery. But
they're a fascinating organism, aren't they? Like when you learn about what they are and kind of how they work as a kind of an entity, it's mind blowing. Like they're not just things you put on a plate that you eat. They're a whole living, breathing thing spanning miles and miles underground. It's definitely interesting. I love games that kind of pick those unique themes, and I think that's something in board games that's made me more accessible to that. Because I think if you'd asked me, even 10 years ago, do you want to play a game about being a bird enthusiast? And I'm like, probably not really. It doesn't really sound that exciting to me. But again, in the tabletop kind of hobby space, and you play these games, you play like Wingspan, you play, whatever, and I'm all over it. I love it. And I just think sometimes it just opens your eyes to kind of different topics and different areas and environments, and you learn something, which is great.
That's actually what brought me out of that mindset is Wingspan as well, JP, is I really didn't want to come to that event that you put up for Wingspan, and I just persuaded myself. And I turned up to that one, it really just like, this is a great game. It really broke me of any sort of bias towards theme. You still probably prefer a game that's the theme that you're interested in, but yeah, it broke me of not giving games a try like that. Especially with the beautiful artwork in both Wingspan and I have to say in your own game Mycelia, it really does make it stand out. Becky was so tempted to buy one of your own cards at the UKGE as well. It was only the queue that put her off in the end. It was fantastic artwork, I have to say, especially considering that I believe you were the one responsible, right?
Yeah, so this whole game is my little baby. So I've done all the game design, graphic design, illustration, basically everything that you see I've done. So yeah, it's a long old journey.
That's why you haven't got time to play board games.
Exactly.
That's why. It's because you've done everything. The artwork's fantastic. Like we commented on it when we saw and played the game at UK Games Expo. It's just it's phenomenal. It's like, for me, that's why I compare it to Wingspan, even though the game's nothing like each other, but from a theme and the way they look so stunning on the table with the artwork, it kind of is a bit of a comparison in that respect. But
I think there's definitely similarities. Like I like the way how Wingspan is all quite scientifically accurate with all the bird names and all their locations and stuff, and that's kind of what I want to emulate. I quite like that kind of hard-nosed, sciencey kind of type of game. But yeah, it's a different game. I think.
100%.
My aim was to create a game that was very player interactive. So I think I do really like Wingspan, but kind of the base game is you're just doing your own thing, and it's nice, but I want to have interaction and get someone to swear at me.
It definitely
100%.
worked.
Absolutely.
I know, you two were effing and jeffing. I loved it.
It brought out the fun gamer side of us, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, talk us through that gameplay loop then, Jack. Like to kind of explain it to our listeners. How does it work? Like, what's the loop?
Okay, so basically, on a turn, you do two different actions, and you have 6 to choose from. So it's quite easy to learn, and because there's not a huge variety of things you can do, the turns are quite quick, which I think people quite appreciate. Because there's always games when you're like waiting 10 minutes for your turn.
We appreciate it. We appreciate that.
So basically on your turn, you can either discover a mushroom. Well, basically you have mushroom cards in your hand, and you can add cards to your hand. One of your actions, you can add to the board and make the board bigger. Another action is you can fruit a mushroom, which is growing a mushroom. Another action is sporing, so you can spore your mushrooms. And then another action is decay, which is decaying a mushroom. So basically, mushrooms have a lifespan on the board. So they fruit, they spore, and then they decay. And and a decay gives you a special action. So it's all about being efficient at growing mushrooms, sporing them, using those spores to create more mushrooms, and decaying at the right time. To give you little bonuses. And kind of the last thing you can do, your action, is move. And basically there's a piece in the game called a mother mushroom, your mother mushroom. And this is kind of how the game starts. It's the catalyst of your fungi kingdom. And you can actually move that mushroom, and it's quite a powerful piece. It's kind of akin to like the queen in chess. So you can move it to block other mushrooms or steal other people's spores, and break up their networks. Because basically the whole kind of the premise of the game is all your pieces make up your mycelial network. And to fruit mushrooms, you need to use spores that are connected, and sort of the jeopardy of the game is that other people can disrupt that network and use your spores to grow their own mushrooms. So it's a bit of a battle for space and resources.
Yeah, that's the bit I really enjoyed, is the fact that when you're sporing, and obviously you've got the wind ice, right? So depending on the way the wind blows, depends on where the spores end up landing. I love that, because it's like, I really want them to go over there, and sometimes they don't, just like what would probably happen in real life, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, the fact that you're trying to create that network of resources, and then Kerley comes along and tries to ruin your day, don't you, Kerley?
How dare you?
And then tries to block it. And I think the thing that surprised me in the game was the contention in terms of the interaction, and the fact that it's so interactive as a game because of that. And you're trying to, you can't just sit in your corner of the map doing your own thing. Well, you can if people let you do it, but they're not.
Yeah, you can. I mean, if you're playing with another person that's also doing that, you can do that.
Yeah.
But I always feel like the more interaction, the better.
Yeah, I just want to get
the thing is if you're being left alone, it's probably because you're not doing very well. Is kind of the point, right? So
yeah, sure. But yeah, and that you mentioned the wind diet, I brought in that element because I think good games in my eyes always have that little bit of gambling, kind of like a twist where you want something to happen, but it may not go your way. And I do like games when you just like a bit like when there is no gambling, there's no luck. But I don't know, I think that luck aspect gets you coming back, and you almost want, I want to try it again.
Yeah, it's a push your luck thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember me doing it, going, right, there's two directions which will help. There's one that won't, because it's literally the edge of the pool.
Yeah.
And he's like, God damn it.
Yeah, I think you rolled like the same thing like 3 times.
Yeah, I did,
Your spores were just going off the board, yeah.
And you two just laughed at me, which is great.
That's what makes the stories, right? I mean, the thing is that there are lots of people who like deterministic games, right? But I think you've really got to put your own personality in your own project, right? And that's something you said you definitely enjoy, and that's so important to make it a game that you will enjoy, because you're going to have to play it how many 100 times?
Yeah.
No comment.
Yeah, but I did just make a game that I wanted to play, and all kind of cherry pick elements from games which I like the area control or boards that change or that kind of element of luck. So yeah, I've played it so many times. I still enjoy it. So that's good.
Has it changed a lot from its kind of first iteration? How has it evolved over time? And like,
can I add to that as well?
Yeah, go for it.
When you came up with it, did you actively try to come up with a board game, or did it come to you and you were kind of inspired to follow it up? So.
The idea came to me. I wasn't really planning to make a game, but I think just the idea. I kind of had this loose idea of a game about mushrooms, and it's one of those things I get once I kind of have a little idea in my head. I kind of just like think, maybe that.
Yeah.
And it's like I actually think like making a board game is a game in itself, because there's so many puzzles and things you have to work out. But to answer your question, it has changed a fair amount, but not really. The game's always had the triangle tiles. Straight away, that was the first thing I wanted, because I don't know why, but there's just not many games that use triangles.
No, it isn't. It's usually hexes, isn't it? It's always hex.
Yeah. And I just thought it's just interesting, and so I kind of used that as the first thing, and I wanted a board that kind of would change and you could add to it. But the sporing was always a thing. But the early on in the games there was no. It was just mushrooms, and it was less kind of tactics, because the mother mushroom wasn't there, so it kind of felt a bit. It's chaotic, but you couldn't really have that much control. And there's been changes like points for cards and how hard they should be, or how many spores they spore. I mean, on earlier versions there was mushrooms that spored like 7 spores. They would just go everywhere. Then you look at the board and like, this is madness. Why is this happening? yeah, there was a lot of play testing, and my partner helped a lot with that.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to play it anymore.
Yeah, I'm done with this. Yeah.
That's not true.
It sounds like tweaks rather than any fundamental changes, right?
Yeah. I think
balancing.
Balancing and tweaks.
Yeah.
But I think what the whole kind of mechanics, it was more like the idea of the mushrooms and the science behind them kind of almost made the mechanics easier to work out, because I was just following the science in a loose term science, doing air quotes there. So it was kind of making mechanics around the science, which was kind of easier in a way it was in my head anyway.
Yeah. And I think that people appreciate that. It also helps because that's naturally what would happen. So people go, okay, that kind of makes sense. But and like you say, this isn't a heavy Euro game where you've got 50 actions to remember or anything like that. Like you say, you've got 6, and that was the thing when we started playing. I think we were just off and running. You said it is 6 actions, and you gave us a little card, a little player aid, which is always nice. And it's like, right, cool, get to do 2 of them. Off you go. And you're like, right, let's pull some levers, let's do some stuff. And and you just start going. And then once you get your head around that gameplay loop, which is quite interesting, because is it 5 mushroom slots that you did?
Yeah, 5 player max. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, so you kind of want to fruit the mushrooms, and then obviously get the and decay them quick, so you can get the abilities. And it's kind of but decaying them means you reduce your board presence, and so it's like you said, that ebb and flow. It's very interesting. You have definitely pivotal moments where you can be opportunistic for the other players to jump on at those times and get the timing right. But yeah, cool. So how long ago did this start then, Jack?
When was it? It was before lockdown. So like the beginnings of the idea was about the winter before lockdown. So when was that? 2019? Yeah. I did actually make a terrible board game before that.
That was my next question.
Was it? Yeah.
Not did you make a terrible board game? It was have you done any designs previous to Mycelia? That was interesting.
Yeah, I did. I did this game. I had this idea for like a survival game, crash landing in the Saharan desert.
Yeah,
and it was all about kind of exploring the wreckage, and in my head, all the artwork was really cool, and I did some prototypes for the cars and stuff, and it looked really cool. But the game was just terrible. It was there was good bits to it, but it was just one of those games where you'd have your turn, and then something would happen, and something else would happen, and then someone would go, hang on, whose turn is it? And it'd be really confusing, and I'd be like, oh god, I forgot whose turn it is. And then I think that was a sign of like, it was like, oh, I should stop this, because people don't know what they do. So yeah, that kind of did kind of educate me into then when I started to develop Mycelia, is that don't make your turn too complex. Just keep it simple. Because my kind of ethos is kind of less is more sometimes.
And I think sometimes, and it's not just in board game design, I'm sure, but we've all done things and they've not kind of come out how we probably envisaged them, and that's part of the process, right?
For sure.
You've got to fail, haven't you?
You got to make mistakes.
Absolutely. It's the only way you grow and learn, and it's kind of like, okay, that didn't kind of pan out, but that's fine, because now I know not to do those things, or I can learn from that and do something else. So yeah, I mean, the fact that was this your second game design then, Mycelia?
Yeah.
I mean, kudos, because if that was your second, and when we played it, it was it was there. Like the game was there, the gameplay was there. We could absolutely see and experience it, and it didn't feel, even though it was a prototype we were playing on, it was a bloody good one. To be fair,
definitely
nice.
Out of interest, sort of bias for your own creation is kind of as old as the hills. Did you find it difficult to take constructive criticism, or is that something that you're quite open to?
I think I am open to it. I think I've kind of taught myself to be more open to it. I think because my day job is being a graphic designer, and I think years ago, like someone would say, "Oh, I hate." Well, they won't use the word hate. They're like, "I don't like your design. It's not doing it for me." And I'd be like, so like, "Oh my god!" It's like, "Oh, they hate me. They hate my art." And I think just like years of that, I kind of water for ducks back. And so now, even though like this is my passion project and I'm so invested in it, I done constructive criticism kind of, I welcome it, to be honest, because I mean, I don't listen to everyone, because sometimes I think, well, I don't think you're right, but sometimes there's little golden nuggets. You're like, oh, in fact, I didn't think about that. That's really interesting. And so you kind of just add in all the good bits, all the good feedback, which, to be honest, I think you need to do that to design a board game, because you can't think of everything.
No.
And this game has sort of evolved into it kind of evolved into like this tactical game, which I didn't really quite plan. It kind of just happened the more I played it and the kind of mechanics added in. And so, and so getting feedback is very important. I think you should embrace it. To any other designers who are listening to this.
Yeah, exactly. Use the community as well, right? And like you say, when you're play testing, that if you especially blind play testing, that's your first experience of someone getting a hand on the game product and going, right, well, they know nothing about this and they're learning it from scratch and see how they feel, right? And it's such an important part of the process, isn't it? So what do you think people enjoy about Mycelia then? So who's it for? Like, if you had to kind of pitch it to the ideal gamer,
I think it's for who's it for? Kind of the people that like interactive games. So if you're, and also people that are like maybe a bit of meanness in the game. It's not a mean game, but something where you can influence others and maybe annoy them a little bit. And also people who are into tactics, and because you need to almost change. You can't really you can have a long-term plan, but it is a very winding road, isn't it? Because it changes quite a lot, and you kind of need to pivot what you're doing all the time. So I think people who can want to do kind of quick problem solving, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's why I enjoy my playthrough of it so much, because like I'm not a big strategist, right? Kerley's probably the opposite. Like, he could sit and go, I've planned 20 moves and I've got my grand strategy. I know where I'm going. I'm more tactical. I like reacting and pivoting and doing all those things. So the fact that you said that, now thinking back to my playthrough of the game, that's definitely something I enjoyed doing, which was reacting to the board state very quickly. Right, we're going to pivot. We're going to do this. Try this for a few turns. No, do something else. That's not working. And then I think to the point where I think, Kerley, you'd even said on our Expo episode, you ripped me off, didn't you? Yeah.
Well, that was exactly what I was going to say, is that you actually made the Mario Kart come true.
Yeah.
Because actually, I felt like I was doing quite well, and I felt like Jack was really doing well. So I pivoted to really concentrate on knocking him down whilst trying to boost myself, and I succeeded. To be honest, I was pretty happy with how I did, and then JP snuck round the outside and took the victory. So you know,
red shell.
But that's all part of the dynamic, reactionary kind of part of the reason why I really enjoyed the game.
Yeah,
I think that that sort of reveal of at the end of, you don't know quite who's won. Like, do you know those kind of Euro games with like the point tracker, and you're like, oh well, that person's won. You kind of think, what's
demoralizing.
But with Mycelia, because you tuck the cards, unless you like memorized everyone's mushrooms, which is very hard because you're concentrating your game, you don't quite know who's ahead. You can sort of guess, but you don't often get it right, which is I like that kind of big ta-da moment at the end. You're like, I've won. Oh, I've come last somehow.
It reminds me of, it's nothing like this game, but it reminds me of Concordia. Okay, and they're completely different games, but even though that has weirdly a score tracker around the board, you don't use it until the end.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of like, right, who's what? I've got no idea. And it's always exciting, and everyone's really tense and sitting there going, right, I'm going to score this, 20 points. Oh, right.
Yeah, exactly. And then one of us goes, and you pass them, and you're like,
yeah. So that for me, I quite like that. So you just focus on what you're doing. You don't get demoralised because you don't really know, and you just keep pushing and pushing and pushing until hopefully you take the mushroom crown, as it were. So there we go. So in terms of, obviously we've been talking about the game, like how can people get their hands on it then, Jack?
Well, the Kickstarter is launching in 4 days, which I'm quite terrified about. On the 7th.
So when this is episode is live, it will be live.
It's launching today, guys. 7th of September, Thursday the 7th. Yeah, so so it's going on Kickstarter, and there's a few different pledge tiers, but the base game's on there, which has I've tried to make the base game just as lovely as possible. So there's wooden components and dual layered mats, and it's a premium base version basically, because I wanted to make a game that I'd want. So just very nice components and good printing, just good quality.
We appreciate that.
Yeah. So the Kickstarter is Thursday. So just head to Kickstarter and search Mycelia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll have the link in our show notes for anyone listening. So just click on that. It'll direct you straight to the page, and definitely check out the game, because we've played it. We thoroughly enjoyed it. I am actually keen to play more of it. And just see what other kind of combinations of mushroom powers I can get, because I've only had a little sample. I've only had 4, I think, maybe 5.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's 69 cards, and when we were 4 of us were playing, I mean, we got through maybe like a third of them. So there's always going to be different mushrooms that you're going to get each time we play.
Yeah. Out of interest, is there a ideal number you have in your mind for how well the best play?
I think personally, I like 4 players, just because it's a bit more chaotic, which I quite like sometimes. And the board sort of kind of gets bigger, and so you can kind of explore a bit more. But it works well with 2 players, 3 players. 3 players isn't good too. I've had a lot of feedback when they really like it as 2 players. That was their favourite one, which I was quite surprised by. I guess it's a bit more of a head-to-head, which I guess when there's 4 players, there's more things to think about, which I enjoy.
Yeah, I noticed on your Kickstarter, because I've just set myself to be notified by email when it launches.
Nice.
Is that it's showing as a 1 player, which I didn't actually know as well.
Oh yeah.
So, you got solo mode.
Yes. Yeah. Oh,
talk about that.
So basically,
I'm a solo player.
So are you? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So basically, there's a set of automata cards, and you can actually add it in as a 3rd player if there's 2 of you and you want another player.
That's good. I like
add in a bit more interest. And so basically, the automata does it's still the same as like your turns. It does 2 different actions, but it does the actions in a certain order. So I think if I remember, it goes fruit, decay, spore, and then move, and then explore kind of gets thrown in there in certain scenarios. But basically, it's so if you can't do one action, you move down to the next one, and if you didn't do that, you can move down to the next one. So you kind of go down in order.
Yeah. And
it's very efficient at growing mushrooms and just doing everything, because it's not like you when you think, oh, maybe I'll just do this, and then it does things in a really efficient order. So it can be a bit frustrating at times. I mean, it's quite hard to beat.
I was going to say.
That's what people want, though.
Exactly. You want to be challenged.
Like easy AI that you're playing against and doesn't really do anything. It's not that interesting. You want a bit of a challenge. So I really like the fact you can substitute a player for an automata, but it's quite nice to have the option. So if you're 2, like you're a couple, and sometimes you just want that 3rd player to interact. So it's not just you're always picking on me. and you're always going against me, you've got that option to add. Is it just one that you can add in? Can you add in multiples?
What automatas?
Yeah.
Just the one.
Just the one.
automata.
Yeah.
When you are playing with like 2 human players in the automata, there are certain situations where the automata has to like affect someone, so maybe like block a mushroom. And sometimes there's like
which one does it pick?
There's another kind of fun bit which I quite enjoy, is where you basically take a spore from each of the human players and shake them, and then see. It's almost like another gambling aspect when you see who it's going to affect.
Yeah,
which is always a fun bit when you're like, oh, I hope it's not red.
yeah. Like, damn, it's red.
It's red. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the automata like blocks your mushroom. And you're like, god, yeah. But it's it's good.
Oh, that's cool.
So when does the Kickstarter run till, Jack? You said 7th of September. Is it 4 weeks or?
It's actually slightly over. I've timed it so it ends on the 8th of October. So it's slightly over a month. But the reason why that is because I'm going to Essen.
Exactly my next question.
And yeah. So I'm going to be at Essen, and I just thought it'd be good to have the last little push there when people can back it there, and then hopefully.
We'll be there, so we'll push it.
Oh, are you? Oh, awesome.
Yeah. We'll definitely be at Essen. It's our first trip. We've never been before, so we're just going as regular punters, as it were, just to experience it. So
nice.
So yeah, we'll definitely come and say hello and
sure,
try and support you while we're there. So that's all good.
Thank you.
That makes sense though. Makes sense. Yeah, last push, get some more exposure, get people playing it, and start showing off that artwork again.
Yeah,
and I'm sure you're gonna have a busy stall. I'm sure.
Yeah,
anything like Expo, right? You were just absolutely rammed the whole weekend. Weren't you?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it at all. I've kind of learned from my mistake, and I'm bringing another person with me this time. So there's going to be 3 of us, so I can go for a wee or eat a sandwich or something.
Yeah. I just need a break. You can't tell me about mushrooms. Constantly. Oh, that's great though. I love that. I think you've taken the concept, you've got a product. It's there, it's playable. It's going to be, going through the whole crowdfunding process literally right now. And obviously thinking about the future, and more ideas are coming. So that's really exciting to hear.
Yeah, well, hopefully if this goes well, I'll try and do this full time, because it's great.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's really hard work, but it's fun. It's satisfying. It's great to see people just enjoying something you've created.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really tangible, isn't it? Like you can create something, you can put it in their hands, and then they just smile and swear. Yeah. In a good way.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to the kind of next section then, Jack. So we have got a little. Sometimes we do episodes all about our niche number ones, and for those that don't know what a niche number one is, it's essentially our kind of really obscure categories that we kind of ask what your favourite game is in that really obscure category. And we quite like doing these. It's been a while since we've done an episode. One is coming up in the roster fairly soon. But we like to ask our guests and get our guests' opinions on some of the historical niche number ones that we've asked. So, Kerley, you've got the list. Do you want to kick off one of them?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the first one is the favourite game that you never win at.
I think I mentioned it earlier. Duel.
You did.
Oh, really?
You did.
I love it. I always want to play. I think I'm going to do it this time, but I just always lose.
Are you close though? Like, is it a whitewash or is it like?
When I played it yesterday, I was not close. Sometimes I am. Sometimes. But yeah, no, I really like that game.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll do the next one if you like. What's your favourite game that you thought would replace a game, but it didn't?
Oh, that's a tricky one.
Yes.
I guess I played Komet, which I kind of thought would replace Inish.
Yeah.
Because it's
on the map.
Yeah, it's on the map, and it had all those like cool like giant scorpions and stuff. I was like, oh, this is cool. But it didn't quite do it for me. I still really like it, but it just didn't quite, take over that top spot of Inish. But yeah, and now there's a new version of Komet, and in fact, a new version of Cyclades too. Which
there is. is it Commit Blood and Sand? Is that right?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so probably more deluxeified version and probably balanced it out a little bit from what I've heard. But I never played it. Always looked quite interesting, but I think the first I heard of Comet was when Shut Up and Sit Down did a review of it about 17 years ago, whenever it was. Probably not that long, but it felt like a long time ago.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Kerley?
All right, so we've got a favourite game you have to have an app for.
An app for?
If you've played any games with that.
No.
None.
Pass. As I said, I'm playing board games to get off my screen. I'm not.
No, fair play.
I'm not getting an app.
That's
I think is it Mysterium? Does that have an app?
Mysterium. Is that the,
you know what? I
the
don't
ghost
think
one?
it does. I know Mansions of Madness does.
Oh, that's the one.
My...
That's the one I mean. Mansions of Madness. I get them mixed up with the M's. I played that and I was like, I don't want to look at screen. I want to look at some cardboard.
Yeah, fair enough.
You need first edition, and that's what you need, Jack. But then you'd be like, I want to look at too much cardboard, where there's just too much to do, and I've got to do the puzzles like by hand, and I've got to set the puzzles up, and then
I do like apps that reduce the admin, I have to say, but that's where I draw the line.
Oh, in fact, there's saying that I do sometimes play games on like Board Game Arena and stuff. And have you ever played the game Seasons?
No, I haven't. That's
it's
mad. Is that the
I've
cross off the games with the area? It might be a different one I'm thinking of, actually.
It's like
wizards, aren't you? Like conjuring elements.
Yeah, there's like it's all the artwork is quite bonkers, and there's I can't remember what the theme is really, but what the mechanic which I really love is the dice, and then basically you kind of roll dice, and then people pick certain dices, and the ones that are left over do something to the game. Obviously, it's been a little while.
Jack reviews Seasons.
But you do something, I don't know.
Do something great.
But when I played that, I was like, this seems like a lot of admin if I was playing it in real life. So I really enjoyed playing a board game arena when it's just like, does all the scoring for you. You're like, that was easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got into Board Game Arena lately. So, I've been obsessed with Art Nova, playing that with a few different people.
Nice. I really like playing Arnak. Lost Ruins of Arnak.
You know what? I love Lost Ruins of Arnak, but it's so upsetting to me that it doesn't have the expansion with the Board Game Arena version.
Oh, I haven't actually played the expansion yet.
It adds a lot to it. So it's difficult because I've got the base game, I've got the expansion at home. It's difficult then to go to the non-expansion version.
Yeah.
But it is one of my
favourites. If I had to play June, if I had to do June base, I'd be like, I want to play with Rise of X, and I want to play with the other things because I'm just spoiled. That's all it is. Spoiled with all these options.
I think we could probably all argue that we're spoiled, to be fair.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, spending hundreds of pounds on cardboard. That's what we do. Cool. Well, thank you for that, Jack. We like to just do a little niche number one.
Nice.
Bit of fun and games and stuff.
Did I pass?
You always. I mean, the fact that we didn't prepare you and you answered them off the hip, that was pretty good. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So well done.
Definitely.
And that's down to me not planning. So,
although one of my answers was just going thumbs down.
It's an answer. I could have defaulted to another one of our 50 that we've got in our backlog, but I thought I'd spare you. So it's all good. It's all good. So last question, kind of from me, is what are you excited about? Obviously the Kickstarter, because that's live, or will be.
Yeah.
But like any kind of future events and games that you've got on the horizon to maybe play one day that you're excited about?
What games that I'm excited to play?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I got Brass Lancashire a little while ago. I actually got it for my birthday in February, and I still haven't played it. So I'm very excited to play that.
Yeah.
But again, as I said,
one day,
no time.
You won't have it until after Essen's done. That's
yeah,
for sure, right?
But yeah, so I'm excited to play that. And I've seen a few online, which I'm quite. I really want to play Terracotta Army. I don't really know much about it, but I love the theme.
Yeah,
something about it just speaks to me.
Yeah.
I don't own it, but I'm sure somebody I know has it.
Yeah. anyone's got it, let Jack know he wants to play.
And in terms of kind of events, I'm really excited about Essen.
Yeah. Is that your first Essen, or you been before?
Yeah, it's my first one.
Okay.
I'm slightly, because I remember how knackered I was at the end of UKGE. I think the Essen's even bigger, isn't it? So
it's bigger, and you got
I'm slightly worried about it.
You're doing the full 4 days, are you?
Yeah.
So you got one extra day, and it's bigger.
Yeah. Crazy.
But you can't get bigger. I think Essen's probably is it the biggest, if not close to the biggest?
Yeah, I think it's one of the biggest.
Yeah. So it's the best place to be.
Biggest in Europe, I think.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's absolutely huge.
Yeah. And then I guess I'm just very excited / putting my pants about Thursday. Because
you'll be fine.
Yeah, I know people keep saying that, but I'm really worried that something like terrible is going to happen, like a hurricane or something, and everyone's going to lose their internet. And I'm like, oh
no! And it'll take a whole month to sort out as well.
Yeah, or like there'll be some news like, mushrooms
that might be,
are evil.
Yeah, mushrooms are evil.
Yeah. Oh god.
Oh, I'm sure you'd be fine.
Yeah. This is me catastrophizing in silly ways, but no, I'm really excited, and also I'm really excited to just kind of see the final version, because I've made all these prototypes myself, but there's something different about when it's printed properly, and like the game tray and all that jazz. So
exactly,
excited to see that, and also excited just to see how it does. And
it'll be fine.
Well, best of luck from me.
Thank you.
Likewise, best of luck.
Well.
I mean, it's solid. Like I absolutely, I'm not just saying this. I absolutely enjoyed my first play of it. It's definitely one of my highlights from Expo. Which, if you listen to our Expo episode, I said it then. I promise. I'm not just saying it to your face. And it's a great cracking game, and I'd recommend everybody who's listening to this check it out, because it's a unique theme. If you love interaction, it's got it in spades, and it doesn't sit on the table for 4 hours. You can play multiple games in one evening, I think, with it. And just definitely wish you the best of luck with the crowdfunding, and we'll help where we can.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me. It's been good fun.
No problem. Thank you very much, Jack.
Thanks, Jack.
Cheers.
So there we go. I just want to say a big thank you for listening, and if you have enjoyed the show, please share this episode with a member of your gaming group or someone who you think will enjoy our podcast. We would really, really appreciate that. You can get in contact with us through all our usual methods, which you can check on the show notes, whether that's Facebook, whether that's Instagram, etc. It's all there. And we'll be back again next week with some more board gaming content. So see you then.